service. Now I'll give you my backhand. My winner whizzes down the line.
Betting weekly tennis live.
Are you ready for it? Here we go.
All right, Betting Weekly Tennis Live, your favorite tennis gambling show, all part of the Bet Rivers Network, Monday through Wednesday, 1 o'clock Eastern time. We've got tennis all through Asia right now. We've got a premier event in Beijing for the women. The men are also in Beijing, 500 level event there, 500 level event in Tokyo as well. Mitch Michaels, Tim Dennis, all part of, as I mentioned, the Bet Rivers Network. Download the app and follow us on socials at Because We Win to get in on all the action, as we've got some exciting tournaments to discuss. Tim Dennis, welcome again to the show. It's an interesting time, but got a lot of matches kicking off on the other side of the world. So how you holding up?
Hi, Mitch. Yeah, good. Yeah, nice to see you. It's a funny one. I like this time of year, but the only thing is, from our point of view, this time of year, there's no live matches, so we just have to concentrate on the next day's play. But yeah, there's plenty to get stuck into. So yeah, hopefully we can find a few winners for everyone.
Yeah, I had an early morning. There was the matches in the finals on yesterday morning, actually. So I woke up early to the end of some epic matches. That Tabilo match against Musetti was pretty nuts. But we're previewing a lot going forward, and as I mentioned, back-to-back 1000s for the women, starting Beijing into Wuhan. Tim, there's a lot to really just dissect and see what the form is. Top players are playing that road to Saudi Arabia for the finals. A lot of players are just trying to improve ranking, get some prize money, maybe automatic entry for a slam. So the women specifically right now, because again, the season doesn't go quite as long as the men. It ends a little early, but it's a photo finish to the finish line.
Yeah, from a personal point of view, I'm probably more excited by the women's tournaments than I am the men's right at the moment. There's just a few more sort of players that I think are capable of winning these big events, and I think we've seen that over the years and the weeks previously, haven't we? Obviously, you got Iga winning last week. I thought Rebecca looked sensational in her Davis Cup match against Pegula when she sort of just hit winner after winner and just smashed her off the court. So I'm excited to see what she can do this week. And then obviously Andreeva's already won a couple of thousands. I thought she was going well at the US Open until she sort of hit a brick wall when she lost to Taylor Townsend there, which was a bit of a surprise, but for me anyway. But yeah, it's an exciting event, I think.
Yeah, I was looking at that race too. We were discussing it. Rybakina could be between Rybakina and Paolini for the final spot, assuming everyone plays to the tour final. So something to say as Paolini beats Pegula for the first time en route to that Billie Jean King Cup title, defending it for Italy. Couple matches on the women. Want to get to a few, and I just want to bounce a few off, and we'll see if anyone has comments in the chat as well. This one stood out to me. Ann Leo, I think, is playing pretty well at -165 against Camila Osorio. It's a big matchup coming in Beijing. First round, again, 1,000 level event. There you see the game spread and the over-under. Tim, as I'm looking at this and I'm looking at different ways, I guess the question for the expert is I'm looking for the best way to back Ann Lee, both profitable and kind of value without getting too greedy. But I don't know if you have thoughts on this one too. I just think Ann Lee is in form. I think she's been playing a lot better. We saw her at the US Open. I like where she's going, and I like her to keep it going with a win over Osorio.
Yeah, Osorio, she's just looked a bit off most this season, isn't she? And I think, like you say, Lee might be coming in here probably the more confident of the two. And I was actually interested when you sort of wanted to speak about that match. I was interested in your thoughts and how you sided. Obviously, I think you said you wanted to get with Lee some way. So I was interested in your thoughts on how you saw this match going.
Yeah, I go back and forth on spread bets too. I know Pegula boat raced her, but Lee had won, got to the fourth round of the US Open, beat Belinda Bencic's 3-3. So and has not really played since then. So took the time off. She was a finalist in Cleveland. I think that was kind of a smart decision too, right? That she didn't just she kind of took that second, just took a little bit of a breather, regroup, and then get back to it. So I like Lee, and just looking at the graphic one more time, I think I might like straight sets too. I think that might be where I would lean. I think +138 on straight sets could be one. I think that it's a young player that I think is in better form and on a surface that suits her a little more. So that's where I'd lean in this one.
Yeah, plus money for that too. So yeah, probably a good lean to be going. If you're getting plus money and then I think you strongly fancy, then that's always a good way if you can get that plus money in the bank.
We got other matches in Beijing, a great graphic board by our team at Bet Rivers here. We got 4 matches to look at on the women's side, 1,000 level event. Sanmez, who did some things at the Turkish player at the U.S. Open. She won around there. Tomljanovic Starodubtseva. Could be interesting. Sidel versus Freck and Vekic versus Bucsa. So we got 4 Beijing matches in the first round, some bigger names on there, maybe some lines that are intriguing to you, Tim. I think, I'm curious to see what Donna Vekic looks like against Bucsa, who was the surprise story at the U.S. Open. She's plus money in this matchup, but we'll throw that graphic back up. And any initial thoughts on the 4 matches there?
Yeah, I think the Tomljanovic one might be interesting, especially if you guys like to bet in play, because she can be a very sort of swingy player, that Tomljanovic. I think she retired when she last played in. I think I watched the game when she was in Brazil, and whether she was actually injured or she was just a little bit fed up, I'm not really sure. She obviously officially retired through injury, but she came out and I think she served. I think she lost her. She should have broken, didn't, and then she came out and then her serve was broken. But this was halfway through the second set, and she looked to me like she was just going through sort of a few silly shots, and then when they didn't come off, she was just like, "Okay, I'm done now." And yeah, I mean, both girls trying to find a bit of form. Starodubtseva's lost their last 4, and I think Tomljanovic has only won 2 of her last 8. So that wouldn't surprise me at all if both players lacking a bit of confidence, if that one went long and neither of them found it easy to win that match. So yeah, definitely a match I'd be looking to keep on side in play, I think.
Yeah, I mean, looking again too, Starodubtseva just has been up and down. Tomljanovic, it's a fitness thing. Bucsa on the money line, we've got comments on there. Plus money could be worth it given just recent form. And then, I'm really curious to see, as we see, like that might be the smartest play of this board. Sidel, who had the big win over Emma Navarro and is trying to kind of ramp up her career. Magdalena Freck is tough though. And, getting plus money on a player like that, that's the line where you're looking at form. You're looking at, just where they are currently. But it's easy to look at why Freck has been ranked as high, because she's just grinded out wins. And, what's the key, right, to being like a decent ranking is just win a match or 2 each tournament. You don't even have to make deep runs, but if you get a couple wins each tournament, you're going to preserve points and preserve your ranking.
Yeah, just finding that consistency. And just going back to Bucsa, she's a player who's fairly similar to that. And these two kind of, her and Vekic kind of meeting in the middle here, aren't they? I think Vekic has had a pretty disappointing season by her standards, and Bucsa is probably coming up to meet her as she's coming down. So I think Bucsa will fancy her chances. She obviously beat her at Wimbledon early this year, and Vekic doesn't seem to have found much form in the meantime either. So I think plus money Bucsa there probably looks a nice play. And I'd agree with John Swart 47 there. He obviously likes Bucsa as well. So yeah, I wouldn't put him off that whatsoever.
It's the beauty of tennis betting, right? Seidel is ranked 95th. Freck is out of the top 30 now. She's 33, but the 20-year-old German is the favorite in that matchup. It's tough. There's, and maybe live's the play, right, Tim? You got to see how these players adjust. Some of them haven't played since the U.S. Open. One thing we know about some of these early round WTA matches is that there might be momentum swings. So maybe the smart play would be wait a little bit and see a couple games, maybe even the first set. I think there are going to be opportunities to back your player, whoever you fancy in this match, at a good price.
Yeah, definitely, because I think a lot of these games, like you say, they're priced up fairly tight, so they could be sort of swinging matches all the way through, certainly through the first set going forward. So yeah, if you didn't want to get involved pre-match, then and you wanted interest in play, it wouldn't be a surprise either way to see these matches sort of go topsy-turvy and sort of seesaw a little bit, because they're both players. So the Vekic, Bucsa, and the Tomljanovic game we've already spoke about, you could see that going exactly that kind of way.
Yeah, I really do believe that this is going to be an interesting start to the Asian swing. I was looking last year, the Beijing semifinalists, right? Like, we've had upsets too. So don't expect all chalk. I know we've got some big names. There's no Sabalenka, but you have Iga, you have Anisimova, you have Coco playing Pagula. So Andreeva might be in due for a result. Well, Tim, looking at it, I think it's time, and I haven't seen this yet, but do you want to go over your daily double, which it's been doing well on the Betting Weekly Tennis Live, the last couple of weeks. It's been doing well, so the pressure is on, but I think it's a good time to go to it.
Okay, yeah, sure. I think we've got a couple of matches to look at. I think one men's, one women's. Yeah, both tomorrow. So I think the Fritz game is at he's I think he's maybe second on court, Taylor Fritz. So we can probably start with him first. Yeah, the bet I found here that I probably thought was a bit of value isn't actually on that market there. It's under 0.5 tie breaks. I was quite surprised to see it was plus money with BetRivers plus 107. I think it was earlier when I looked. I think there was 10 sets played in Tokyo today with 0 tie breaks, and I only saw the TFO match earlier on today, but the court looked a little bit slower to me than it had done in previous years, and I think obviously it'll probably be a little bit quicker during the day, and obviously this match is scheduled during the day. I think Alcaraz has the night session there, but yeah, I still thought plus money was probably a bit of value there. There was another 4 matches in qualifying as well yesterday, and I think there was only 1 tiebreak in that match as well, and I think that was in the Alexandre Vekic match. And that was out of 9 sets played. These two have played twice before, playing 5 sets at Wimbledon and 2 sets in Montreal, and I think there was just the 1 tiebreak in the 7 sets played there, and that was I think it was in the 3rd or the 4th set at Wimbledon. And I just thought plus money was probably a little bit too big, having looked at the matches I saw today, and perhaps the court not being as quick as maybe the past couple of years. I think in those matches that were played today, I think first serve points one was 69.6%. So that's a little bit down on the overall stats from last year. Still not slow by any means.
So it's interesting too, right? When they played at Wimbledon, it was a pretty long, eventful match. Obviously, grass different, but yeah, that US or that Canada match, it seemed like the moment was a little too bright for Diallo. And I don't know if it was playing Fritz, who maybe had a scouting report on him, but also just the bright lights of playing in his home tournament. I think the intrigue here is, what are we going to expect from Fritz post Laver Cup, who was just scorching, right? Like you end up beating the #1 and #3 player in the world in straight sets. It's like, I don't care where you are, what it is, exhibition, whatever you want to call it. That's very impressive. And yeah, I would expect in the same way Fritz to start quickly. So yeah, I like under tiebreak. I actually think it's kind of bizarro day here on Betting Weekly Tennis Live, things we don't normally like. I'll have to look on BetRivers, but maybe the under in first set games, because I think Fritz is going to start this match pretty fast.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen as well, I think Fritz's return game has got better. He's managed to suss a few sort of big servers out, whether he's just taking half a step back or just trying to get that first ball back into court to get the rally started to give himself a little bit more of a chance. And that's what I've been impressed with Fritz a lot lately. So that would obviously go into this bet. I think when they played at Wimbledon, I think they both broke each other 3 times each. And I think Fritz actually broke Diallo 3 times there in Canada. So yes, they've obviously only played the twice, but he's probably getting a little bit of a read on that big serve now. So I think, like I said, they've met twice. I think Fritz leads the service points one and return points one totals. I think it's 116.5 to 84.5 over the 2 matches. And I think even the Wimbledon match, that was obviously 5 sets and very close, I think that was still 110 to 90 in Fritz's favour. So he has been the dominant player over these 2. And I just thought plus money sort of stood out a little bit to me. I just thought for 7 sets played, 1 tiebreak, not a huge sample size, but for it to be minus money for there to be a tiebreak, I thought was a little bit too short. So yeah, that was the bet I liked in that game.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair way to look at it. Given where Fritz has been, I think plus I think under 9.5. You want to sprinkle a little love on that one. That is plus 155 on BetRivers. We had a quick question. We'll get back to the second leg of the daily double, but the question about Sramkova, I believe it is. Do we think that she can make something happen too? She's been a player that I think has been one to watch going forward. She plays Ruse. Sramkova, who I think it was this time last year, maybe 2 years ago, got really hot at the end of the year. Any love for Sramkova in her matchup against Ruse today, Tim?
It's a match I haven't sort of looked through in depth yet. I can have a very, very sort of quick look now.
Minus 125 favorite. And I think it's a tight spread, right? 1.5 is the game spread, given where we are and given at the US Open that I think, she lost to Ann Lee. We were just talking about Ann Lee. Ann Lee outlasted her 6-4 in the third. and Ruse on hard courts hasn't been her surface. She's kind of done well in the European clay season. That's where she's got a lot of her ranking points. So yeah, maybe some hard court love for Sramkova today.
Yeah, I mean, they've met just once before, and Sramkova won that match in straight sets. And just looking there, Ruse has lost her last 7 matches, so she's going to be a player not going onto the court with a huge amount of confidence there. And I mean, yeah, you could. It's not one I've got a strong opinion about, but on first glance, there I'd be looking at that head to head and looking at Ruse losing her last 7, and Sramkova would be the name on my mind there from first glance. Anyway.
We'll see what happens there. And getting back to the daily double, Tim, the other leg is a women's leg. You have Maya Joint taking on Jimenez Kasintseva. Joint is a pretty solid favorite there. 4.5 on the game spread for plus 106. There you see the over-under. But what side is the bet? What's the second leg of the daily double involving this match?
Yeah, another sort of prop bet almost. Another sort of first set bet, which is what I was going to go for. The head-to-head, these guys have played. I think they've played 3 times, but completed matches. It's 1 game all, with Joint winning their latest match at the US Open 6-4, 7-6 in a tight game, needing the service points, 1 return points, 104 to 96. But I've been quite impressed with Jimenez. She looked really good here. She's come through 2 rounds of qualifying. I think most recently she beat the inform Elsa Giacomo comfortably 6-3, 6-2. And before that, she was in really good form in Guadalajara, winning 4 matches on the trot before actually losing to eventual winner Eva Jovic in the quarterfinals and in a final set tiebreak. But she was actually probably the better player in that match. I think she led the service points and return points on total 101 to 99. So on the stats there, she was slightly the better player and might consider herself a little bit unfortunate to come out the wrong side of it there. And obviously, Jovic went on to win the tournament and shown good form since. The bet I did like was Jimenez to win the first set. I thought plus 165 was quite generous. She's obviously played the 2 qualifying games here, so she's adept already to conditions. Obviously, the previous match they played at the US Open was extremely tight, sort of 6-4, 7-6. And Joints obviously looked good all year, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if she went on to win the match in the end. But I think there's a little bit of a question mark now against her after obviously that eager beating she's taken.
Right.
She's not the first player and she won't be the last, but it probably obviously might just knock her confidence a little bit. And you've obviously got Jimenez coming in here in great form. And yeah, Joint might just take maybe half an hour or so into the game to find her form and find her rhythm again. And that's why I liked Jimenez to win the first set. Obviously, we know Joint's done really well this year. I think the last few players she's lost to have obviously been eager. I think she lost to Anisimova as well at the US Open, having put up a fairly good fight in that game too. And she's beaten some good players as well along the way, obviously winning tournaments as well, one in Eastbourne. And she's obviously done really well. But I just thought that was a bit of value there, that just the first set with Jimenez having those games already under her belt and looking in good nick.
Just looked up the stats online as you said that, and Maya Joint has played 20 matches this year that have gone to a decider. I feel like that's a pretty high number. I don't have the ranking on there, but that's a decent amount given where she is. She's 13-7 in those matches. So maybe, I know the first set's crucial, but I think it's a generous price given form. And this could be a very topsy-turvy matchup. Jimenez is somebody that gained confidence, and no question around it. So I like that. I like that play a lot. What's the payout though for this daily double?
I did have a look. I had it on my phone there. I think it was 429. Let me just double check. Yeah, plus 449 is the double, and that is plus 165 for Jimenez the first set and plus 107 under 0.5 tie breaks in the Fritz game. So plus 449 if we can get them linked up, which we hope. So we shall see.
I'm looking at the schedule of play. If you're a night owl, or if you're on the other side of the world, or getting up early, wherever you are, Fritz plays first, followed by this match. So you can cash your daily double and then hit Maya Joint on the live line. Have her to make the comeback, and then all is right with the world.
Yeah, it's interesting where these 2 players have come from, this Jimenez, because this time last year they were playing in a 50 event I think it was in Croatia maybe there. So these 2 have obviously come on leaps and bounds, and Joint obviously probably the more so winning those tournaments this year. But Jimenez looking to be going the right way to me too as well from my eye.
So more action here on Betting Weekly Tennis Live. I want to talk about the ATP events. They're playing in Tokyo. They're playing in Beijing, both 500 level events. And if you're thinking, wow, how's the quality going to be? Last year, probably the match of the year was Sinner and Alcaraz in Beijing. That 3-set match was just incredible. So the top players are going to bring it. We know that. And it's going to gear up for Shanghai Masters and a lot of action, Paris indoors, and then the finals. So we've still got a lot of exceptional ATP tennis. But I wanted to highlight a couple matches. We'll get Tim's thoughts on the board. If we go to Tokyo for a second, Ugo Humbert this time of year has really been time to shine, facing Jenson Brooksby, who was an alternate the Laver Cup. Brooksby's plus 120. Ugo is minus 148. I'm staring at this again, Tim, looking and thinking, I do like Ugo. I'd like to back the sure thing. Brooksby scares me. Maybe that means I'm leaning over, but I definitely feel like Ugo this time of year has been consistent. We'll see if that leads again into 2025.
Yeah, I think I could agree with you. The leaning over there. I think when they played at Eastbourne earlier this year, I think they played 33 games in a 3-set match. It was a very tight game.
Yeah.
Obviously a first set tiebreak and then a couple of 6-4 sets. And you wouldn't be at all surprised if it went the same way here. Obviously, Humbert, a pretty decent server, obviously a lefty, and Brooksby, obviously a decent server himself. So again, I think this is an early match on tomorrow. So I mean, you should be in the daylight and the faster conditions of the two. So that should suit both players with their serves. And yeah, if I was leaning one way, I'd agree with you and be going over there, I think.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that Brooksby, the Eastbourne match, he got the win. He's beaten French players, I think the last 3 times at least he's played. But yeah, that matchup and that number, I think, is where I would go over 22.5 at minus 110. I do think Ugo is going to prevail, but Brooksby's been a live underdog as a wild card, as a qualifier, whatever he's had to be. He's been able to win these matchups. So that's one there. Another underdog in Tokyo I'm looking at, Marcos Giron. He's playing Sebastian Korda. Giron has been a player that's been live end of the year, has been a giant killer in a lot of different ways. And he's playing a Sebastian Korda that, look, I'm a fan, Tim, but it's been consistency. It's been finishing matches. I think there's a lot of value in plus 165 and maybe some other bets, however you want to see it, on Marcos Giron.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think I thought it was going to be a little bit closer than that in the market, and to make Korda sort of such a short price favorite. Obviously, we know if you're going to get Korda at his best, Korda's going to win, isn't he? But is he at his best? They're doubtful. We've seen his injury issues already. Obviously, he had to retire in the US Open there, and Giron's looked pretty good. I think he went unbroken in his first 2 matches there last week. I think against Sonego and Ethan Quinn. I think he was unbroken, so serving well. Obviously, you'd like to think Korda should do the same. So I thought, yeah, he was a bit of value there, plus 165. I thought that was a little bit too big and maybe slightly disrespectful the way he's been playing, and probably a little bit more Korda priced on the Korda we know can play, but doesn't always play that level, does he? He's certainly not one you can rely on to probably A, even finish the match, and B, to play at that level.
If you're looking for other ways to maybe bet this match, you're not sure. We've shown spread, just looking at Bet Rivers, that has the best props, over 2.5 sets plus 132. And I also would kind of lean, depending on how you want to do it, for less. The over in Giron games 1 at 12.5 is plus 110. So I'm not expecting maybe Giron to just, wipe the floor with him, so to speak. You always have to worry about a retirement as well, but I like his chances, and I expect this to be a dogfight.
Yeah, I think that, like we said when we first saw the prices there on the screen, just a little bit disrespectful, I think, to Giron. I thought those prices should be a lot closer. So, I mean, if that's the case and we're thinking like that, I think I would go with plus 165 on the money line. I think that looks a bit of value to me. I'm not saying he's definitely going to win, but I thought he should probably be nearer, maybe sort of 135, 140, and then Korda should be a little bit short, a little bit bigger than the minus 210 that he is priced up there.
Let's look at the ATP matches in Beijing. We've got 4 to look at. We'll discuss some others after. Bonzi taking on Morozin, Muller taking on Khachanov. Khachanov's a big favorite there. An even bigger favorite is Davidovich Fokina over Ugo Carabelli. And then Atmane, Zhizhen, Zhang. That match might be the one, and I'll let you discuss these, Tim, but that Zhang Atman match is intriguing to me for a couple different reasons, but interesting board as Beijing gets underway. What jumps out, and where would you like to go to first?
Yeah, well, we'll start with the Atman Zhang match you spoke about there. Obviously, Zhang came back from a break to beat Yingxia Bu last week in his home country. A good victory for him, but whether the fitness issues just sort of came back to haunt him, because I think he had a day break, but then just a day later he lost his second match there in straight sets. So he'll probably be relieved of the break, but I mean, it's probably the first time out. It's probably the time to get him as well. Obviously, he's had a tournament already back from the injury, but he's had the victory under his belt. He knows he can still play at a decent level, and that was a real sort of long 3-setter. So it was no huge surprise to see him lose his next match there, to my eye. So I think now a few more days break, and obviously motivated again to go and play well. I thought he'd give Atmane something to think about here.
I think he's for sure a live underdog in this matchup. Atmane, didn't really put it together post, last week we were talking about him. I think it was Prismic, I believe, and he lost that match, and that was unfortunate for a lot of different reasons. A lot of different people might have been on that, but the other one too, and I'll look at the exact price, but yeah, I'm kind of thinking along this too. You mentioned it might be a fitness issue. I think Zhang's a live underdog, but the comment of plus 10.5 games in the first set, that might be one to look at too. And I know that'd be a huge payout. We'll get that number for you shortly. But yeah, I just think Zhang, and not just because it's an Asian player playing in Asia, but he's got some big wins. He's beaten Taylor Fritz before. The line is continually going in the Atmane direction. I think you got to look at form, and you got to look at the consistency factor. Take nothing away from Atmane, but hasn't had that second act yet. Maybe it'll be here, but so far it is just the one sensational run in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and these are both strong servers, so that 10.5 could go well there. I mean, that Atmane, he sort of shot himself in the foot his first game against Prismic there. I think he lost his service game. I think he lost his first 3 points. He was down love 40. Did manage to get it back to juice, but then ended up losing the next couple of points to lose his service game straight off the bat there, and that put him on the back foot. And I think he held for the rest of the set, but he went and lost that set 6-4. And we know Zhang, real strong server, good at hitting his spots. So that could, over 10.5, I wouldn't put you off that at all, as long as Atmane doesn't sort of shoot himself in the foot like he did the other day. But with the game under his belt, and he'll know he'll have to serve well here, because Zhang will serve extremely well, I would imagine. So 10.5 could look a good play.
Atmane going through qualifying 7-6 first set. It was 6-4 in his first set. The match before that in Chengdu, he played a heavy set too. So you could go 9.5 too if you want to be a little safer, but it is plus 160 on Bet Rivers at plus 10.5. Looking back at that board again, I mean, there's the other matches that get to Rose and Bonzi could be a tricky one. Bonzi is a slight underdog, and then the big favorites. And I wonder, backing big favorites this time of year. Khachanov's been pretty consistent, but those are big prices. You almost got to go under or straight sets. How do we feel this time of year, whether it's these two, Tim, or just big favorites in general as they start the Asian swing?
Yeah, I think if you're from a personal point of view, backing big favorites at minus money probably isn't massively my thing. Certainly, I mean, I think if you're going to do it, I would probably stick to doing it in something like Grand Slams when they're fully motivated. This is sort of the be all and end all for them. Like, Khachanov might be fully motivated here tomorrow, but he might have his eye on something else maybe next week. So if you're going to take minus 400, I think you want to be fairly brave. So I would probably look for a better spot to be back in that sort of minus 400 shot. But I think one match that was fairly interesting there that I nearly looked at to cover on the show today was the Marijan match, just because the guy's, he's so difficult to get a read on those. So I mean, he beat Bonzi in straight sets in Washington earlier this year. But you just don't know which Marijan's going to turn up. You get this guy who comes on the court and who can hit Alcaraz off the court, as we've seen on the clay. But then you get Marijan turn up and then just hit ball after ball off the frame. And then you just think, was that the same guy? A tricky one to get a read on. And if he's minus money there, again, I think you want to be, that could look great minus money if the Marijan we know and love turns up, but I wouldn't hold your breath on it. So, again, a little bit like Giron, Bonzi might look a touch of value there at plus money, and maybe the prices are a little bit too sporadic to what they should be.
We can't wait to see how it all goes down. Asian swing. We're going to fly by some other matchups and just get some quick thoughts before we head out the door here on Betting Weekly Tennis Live. Mitch Michaels, Tim Dennis. Reminder, go to bettingweeklystudios.com to sign up for the Betting Weekly newsletter. Drops on Monday, The Insider on Fridays. There's tons of great content. Tennis fans, but also soccer fans, also American football fans. There's just so much going on. Ryder Cup this weekend, which has divided the Betting Weekly Studios staff down the middle. So we're just going to let everybody enjoy the Ryder Cup and pick their side. It's going to be a great sports weekend for sure. But more tennis to get to. Another matches that I just want to quickly mention. One of the ones taking place tonight, it'll be into Thursday, but in Tokyo, an All-American showdown. Alex Mickelson versus Ethan Quinn, Tim. That line is Mickelson right now, minus 159. He looked great at the Ryder Cup, the doubles game. The net game was looking good. Quinn's plus 128, but I do like Mickelson here. I think even the spread, it's 1.5. It could be a 2 tiebreaker situation, but I'm back in the more experienced younger American in Alex Mickelson.
Yeah, I go along with that too. I think so we've agreed on a few things there, and this is going to be one of them. I think that Mickelson being at the Labour Cup there, being around those players, would have done him some good. And obviously being on a winning team too, he should probably take a bit of inspiration from that. And he might be coming here thinking he's got a chance of going fairly deep in this tournament. I think he's got a fairly good draw if he can get through tomorrow. And I don't think he's got many people to be afraid of in his early matches. So he should be looking to win this match reasonably comfortably tomorrow. And that's what I'd like to see him. I don't know if straight sets is reasonable value on the board there, but I'd be looking for Mickelson to come through this comfortably.
It's plus 155. Could be where you want to go.
I think he's going to like I said, being around those players last week, practicing and hitting with them and seeing the levels they're at and being able to join. I think that should inspire him to go on and have a good week here.
Do you think Holger is on upset watch against Medjedovic? Minus 152. Medjedovic is in the plus 123, 125 range.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the guys covered this on their show, and I couldn't agree more. It's just a bit underwhelming, Rune, isn't he? Just, I think on the stats there's very little between these two, but Holger Rune is being priced up on Holger Rune being a top 10 player that he sometimes shows, but he hasn't shown much lately, has he? Whether he's just lacking a little bit of confidence or, I think Rune is definitely on upset watch tomorrow. And I think he's had to he switched surfaces now. I think he played Davis Cup on clay and then obviously to a slow indoor hard court in Laver Cup and then come into sort of outdoor, should be slightly quicker conditions here. So, to find any consistency with Rune at the moment is tough. And he's certainly not making life easy on himself with those 3 different changes of courts. So, I think he could be on look out for a tough day tomorrow for him.
He's only got a couple quarterfinal runs in the last couple months, so it has not been consistent. Snake bitten early, so one to watch. Then the last in Tokyo, Tim, it's the spot, right? And I don't know if there's value, but Tabilo wins that match. He's plus 115 against Zuzu Bergs, minus 143. So it's the spot of win a big tournament. What's going to be left to gear back up? Do you just ride with the favorite here and play the percentages?
Yeah, well, I guess Tabilo's still in at the moment, and I mean, I doubt his plan is to withdraw because he's obviously still in. But it wouldn't shock me if he did get there tomorrow and say, okay, and then Berg's end up getting a lucky loser. But Berg's he's lacking a little bit of consistency as well, a little bit like a few of the players we spoke to already today. I think he had a decent result in his Davis Cup there, but then I think he lost again. So another guy who's looking to get form on back on the road and has been struggling with his serve a lot lately as well, Berg. So I mean, you'd like to think if Tabio does show up and he's in good health, then he should be looking to come through Bergs here, I would have thought.
Yeah, we'll see if that match takes place. Get the bets in now, though, because as you mentioned, Tim, we'll see if there is a withdrawal. Seemed like his health was holding up, and he had played a lot of matches, so maybe just finishing the year strong, but still a remarkable run. Any other matches on the women's side, Beijing, that we didn't get to? Anything we want to discuss? I'm just looking down. I think Bucsa is a slight underdog against Galfi. Siniakova is a pretty solid favorite against Potapova, but anything out there we should touch on?
Maybe Sonic Cartel. I know Rory was quite keen on her to come through her match fairly comfortably against Alicia Parks and just making her play that sort of extra shot all the time, and that's what Cartel is good at. again, she's come from not Davis, Billie Jean King, yeah. So Billie Cup, and she played fairly well there from what I could see. So she should be looking to come through there. Putintseva, I thought she's just finding a little bit of form. She is, yeah. She's the underdog there to beat Wing Wan. So yeah, she could be one I'd be keeping on the right side of. I know they lost their Billie Jean King Cup match, and maybe a match she probably should have won in the end, even. And then they ended up losing their doubles as well as a decider. But just the last couple of tournaments I've watched her, I just thought she was finding a little bit of a groove, and these conditions should probably suit her. So yeah, I'm surprised she's the dog, and that would be one I'd be quite interested in, I think, too.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Putintseva as an underdog doesn't necessarily sit right. And I do normally think Parks is a live underdog, but this is a tough matchup for her. A tough matchup with the player that's going to make her play the extra shot. And if you want to find the real value, maybe it's straight sets. We did see someone in the chat say that it's still plus money. Probably got to get in now on the Bet Rivers app, but plus 102 straight sets for Cartel over Parks might be a play.
Yeah, it could well be, because I think if you like on the handicap, I'd probably rather go straight sets, because chances are if she doesn't win in straight sets, she may not cover the handicap. Obviously, women's tennis can be sort of swinging matches. You could have a tight first set and then a 6-1 or a 6-2 second set, and then you're not sure where you're going to sit in the third with the handicap bet there. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'd probably rather be leaning towards straight sets than a handicap bet there personally.
Well, the final thing, Tim, is just kind of looking at the matchups, or the tournaments, I should say. We've got a Beijing Open that has Iga as a prohibitive favorite, but still plus money, and then some other women in there. But you also have Sinner playing in Beijing, Alcaraz switching to Tokyo, huge favorites. Are we expecting some players to go on runs, or is there anyone we should look out for? It doesn't have to be an official future play, but players that could make things interesting and challenge for any of these events.
Yeah, from a personal point of view, I'm quite keen on Rybakina this week. I thought she was, like I said, excellent in that Billie Jean King Cup, just striking the ball superbly. Yet we do know she can be a little bit sort of in and out, but I think now Vukov's back. I think that is, rightly or wrongly, we spoke of this before, she's obviously more comfortable with him there, and I think she's happy. And I just think she might be finding a bit of groove. I think she lost in the semis here a couple of years ago, missed last year with a back injury. And I just think it's about time she sort of strung it all together. I think she obviously did win a tournament on the clay there in a minor event earlier in the year, but it's been a while since she won a decent tournament. That her ability suggests she should be winning one of these thousands. And I think 6 of the 8,000 events this year have been won by separate players, haven't they? Yeah. Obviously, just Andreeva and Sabalenka winning the 2. Is that correct? I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe Rybakina can add her name to that list. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I thought she looked to be coming to the boil nicely.
I think Andreeva is due for a result. We'll see if she can have it here in Beijing for the men. Maybe it's just Bublik again, because he's got the second most titles on tour now. So who knows with that guy?
Who would have thought that at the start of the year?
One thing in Tokyo, someone that's looked very good has been in his first match was Matteo Berrettini. I think he can. I know he's on the Alcaraz side, but he'd be one to watch. But the way the bracket falls, having to play Alcaraz in the semis wouldn't be good. So maybe if you're looking on the bottom half of that draw, Tim, maybe it is Alex Mickelson. If you want someone live with some longer odds, those would be the players I would point to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did like Mickelson. I thought, like you said, with his draw and hopefully opening up until he gets those slightly later stages. And he'd be a player at a big price who I'd be looking to probably keep on side, because I thought we had a decent chance of going fairly deep this week. And we have spoken, maybe these aren't the times, this is the time of year to probably be against the Alcarazes and the Sinners. Maybe I think if they're ever going to come unstuck, it's going to be these sort of back-end tournaments of the year before they go to the ATP finals.
Well, this has been a blast. Tim Dennis joining me here on Betting Weekly Tennis Live, Monday through Wednesday, all the way through the season. The season quite literally doesn't stop, and it's the perfect opportunity for everyone to download Bet Rivers, to download the app, get in on the action, and follow the socials at Because We Win on the X account, Instagram, and YouTube. Tim, this was fun. We're going to keep doing this all Asian swing, so we got to just adjust to kind of like the preview style shows, but so far so good. And one more reminder, that daily double, the 2 picks again. We'll throw the matches up if you want to walk through what the bets were in these 2 matches.
Yeah, sure. So in that top match, we're going to take Victoria Jimenez to win the first set against Maya Joint at +165. And in the Fritz Diallo match, we're going to take under 0.5 tie breaks at +107. And the double paying, I think it was +449 if we can tie those together. So hopefully we can,
Right.
+449. So hopefully we can get them over the line.
Follow along on the daily double, and remember to keep downloading and keep watching our show. Rather, make sure you get the Bet Rivers app for all your tennis bets. Betting Weekly Tennis Live, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, Monday through Wednesday. Tim, always a pleasure.
Thanks, Mitch. Yeah, great time.
This was Betting Weekly Tennis Live. We're back next Monday, 1 o'clock. For Tim Dennis, I'm Mitch Michaels, 1 o'clock Eastern. Enjoy all the action this week. Enjoy the Ryder Cup. Enjoy the tennis. And we'll be back for more on Betting Weekly Tennis Live.